Peter Tittenberger.
And Daria Tittenberger, lifetime Winnipegger, born in Winnipeg at the St. Boniface Hospital. Lived in the North End. My parents were immigrants to Canada and went to school in Winnipeg, went to university in Winnipeg, worked in Winnipeg, have never been out of Winnipeg.
And basically I have the same story. My parents were immigrants. I was born here and lived here primarily in the northern part of the city for my entire life. Went to school here, went to university here, and worked here in Winnipeg.
So we discovered a lovely place in Arizona that had facilities for arts and crafts. And I walked into a room of ladies just out of curiosity, wondering what they were doing, and they were doing beadwork. And I sat beside someone and just watched for a little while, and the woman offered to show me what she was doing, which was a peyote stitch. I don't know if you're familiar with peyote, but it's an age-old beading technique. And so she showed me the basics, and I took it from there. I'm basically self-taught, and that was 2014. So since then, I mean, it was totally consuming in every way, because it sort of satisfied the need to create something. It satisfied the need to use my hands, that sewing stitch, right, because of the textiles. And it's meditative, constant ability to learn something new. Any other crafts that I started, as soon as I would get any way sufficient with the technique, it didn't keep me occupied or focused anymore. Whereas with beading is just constantly something new for me. This is the earring, and it starts out as a, it's done in peyote, and it's done in circular peyote, so it starts with, as a triangle actually, so it starts with 3 beads in the center, and tie them into a circle. I don't tie, I just go through the beads again just to secure them. And then as you add beads, you've got the 3 corners of the triangle. So I started with single beads, and now I'm going to double beads on the corners. These beads are Japanese glass seed beads, so they have really nice large holes. Even though they're tiny little beads, they've got nice large holes in the center. So it allows me to go through the bead a number of times to make the structure quite secure. As a 3-dimensional object, that's important. So most of my beading is just like this. 1 bead at a time, sewn into the next bead. I'm working on one piece. How I started on that piece, I'm not sure exactly, but let's just start there. I'm working on a piece, and the next one is already percolating in my mind, based on what I'm working on right now. So either exploring color combinations, or changing the design slightly, or I don't know. My ideas come from the piece I'm working on right now, and they just keep on springing. I just use Word, the object. You know, you make a triangle, or you make a rectangle, put hundreds of rectangles together, and then paint them in. It's all very labor intensive.
But that's how you
That's how I
design
do the pattern work.
patterns, yeah.
Yeah, not the actual three-dimensionality of it. The patterning I do that way, yeah. Just just playing with colors, playing with design, playing with form. It has it all. It has it all. So it's constantly interesting to me.
Well, I was active in photography for a long time, and really the turning point for me was when photography became digital. So I liked analog photography. I liked the process of developing, printing, and when that was sort of removed from photography, I wasn't as keen to do all that manipulation looking at a computer screen. I was interested in the hands-on part of photography, and one of the things I did with photography is I treated the photograph not only as an image but as an object. So I was doing a lot of manipulation of the physical object, and so that interested me as well, and sort of that led me into the work that I'm currently doing, which is manipulating physical things. My primary focus is on non-functional work, exploring certain ideas or issues or themes that interest me. That's my primary focus, I would say. I guess I work in two ways. When I'm exploring an idea, then I sort of have a notion of how I might execute that idea working with a certain material. And generally my process is that I'll do something and then sort of look at it and see where I want to take it. So it's a progressive movement through working with the material to try to illustrate the idea that I'm concerned with.
And then it sort of becomes intuitive, right? As you put one, like if you're doing manipulating something, once you've changed or added something or subtracted something, it becomes intuitive somehow. It's somehow, for me anyways, it is. And somehow there's a connection between the brain and the eyes and the hand. The hand somehow has a brain of its own, and you put down, like for me, I put a bead in, and that just doesn't seem right. So
Yeah.
I have to change it, and I don't know why. It just doesn't seem right. So I'm not really thinking through it. It just seems like intuition somehow. A lot of times I'm not liking the result, and so I change it a little bit. Should I continue with this? But I persevere, and then I love it when I'm done, right? It's interesting how you don't really like it for a while,
Yeah.
and you want to give up on it, but you
Yeah.
persevere through it, and then, okay, that turned out pretty good.
And for me, it's often a question of when do I stop? Because you're working on this thing, you're working and you're adding and you're subtracting, and it's a question of, is it done?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a visiting artist at the U of M when I was there who was a very interesting guy, and he said his method of work was, I just keep adding stuff and adding stuff and adding stuff until it's too much, and then I add some more. So, that struck me as an interesting way of working.
Is there a length of time that it takes you to make a piece?
A lifetime, right? The from idea to testing to execution, it could take days, it could take weeks. Each piece is a little bit different. Yeah, it's just not, sitting down and in a few hours you've got something completed. The whole process is quite time consuming.
Well, not only time consuming, often it's all consuming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you think about almost all the time.
Exactly.
Where am I going with this? What do I need to do? Where do I go from here? That sort of thing. So it's kind of an obsessive thing.
It's in my dreams too. Like
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about beading.
I've made lots of stuff. Most of it not very good.
Oh, I don't think I should say that.
Well, one of my favorite sayings is you have to milk the cow a lot to make a little cheese. So, that's basically how it worked.
So all your years were just practicing to.
Well, basically.
Peter always also says he's just on the verge of competence. Too,
Yeah.
and I don't believe that.
Well, I may be competent now, but
You think now you're competent.
possibly. In some ways, I'm competent. But,